So I was eating this popsicle today while listening to your podcast. When I finished, the popsicle stick had a message on it that said, "Say thank you to a role model." I've been listening to your podcast this past year, so it only seemed fitting to send you a big thank you. I'm enjoying it so much. It's opening up my vision on things, and the constant reminder to have compassion is much needed. Thanks so much, Jeff. What's up, guys? This is Jeff Birmingham with the Extraordinary Us podcast. And what a year it's been. 2021. It's been an exciting year. It's been an exciting year of growth for our podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed the guests that we've had on. I sure have. It's been, awesome to talk to all these people about different things. I want to look forward for a second today. But before we do that, let's look back. And let me just also say Merry Christmas to all my listeners. I hope that everyone has a happy holidays with their friends and family, that you're safe and healthy, and that you enjoy it all. So this is a hearty, very Merry Christmas from Jeff Birmingham at the Extraordinary Us podcast. Let's recap for a second. We've had some exciting entrepreneurs on here in the 2021 season. Underrepresented entrepreneurs. I hope that you have noticed that. We had Alma, who is an African-American founder of Unstuck. We had Jess Toulson and Susan Peterson, female founders that are out there killing it and doing their very best. I really appreciated talking to Steve Starks this season. It was fascinating to hear him talking about and telling kind of some of the inside story about selling the jazz. That has been a big story in our state for the last year or two. It was exciting to hear some of the behind the scenes work that he did with Ryan. Again, he is the CEO and president of the Larry H. Miller Companies. And the Miller family is in a unique position now after having sold their car dealerships as well, to continue to make a big impact on our community. I'm excited to see where that goes. That was an exciting episode, no doubt. We had the governor on just a couple episodes ago. Let's see. I'm trying to see what episodes these are. Episode 43, Governor Spencer Cox. Here's what I learned about Spencer. We know each other obviously quite well. Spent, time backstage together and time on stage together. But what I did not realize was how affected his early childhood was by the divorce of his parents, and how that and other things affected his confidence. And we spoke about suicide, a very serious topic and issue in that episode, one that plagues far too many of us, one that we need to get better at. If you need help, reach out, please. I appreciated Spencer being vulnerable here and talking about how he thought about ending his life in, I think it was in middle school. That was touching to me that he would share that, and shows that he's a real person that has struggled, and it, no doubt, and it's obvious why he has the focus that he has on mental health, and that's important for our state. Tom Homo, spoke about coming to the Big 12 for BYU in episode 41. I always love being with Tom. He's been a great leader for BYU. It will be exciting to see how BYU fares as they go into the Big 12. It was exciting to hear some of the backstory as a leader or helper at the athletic department the last 5+ years. I know some of the back and forth that's been. It's been a long and winding road, but we finally got there. We have a home. It's exciting. And if you're interested in more of that backstory, check out Tom. I spoke to Coach Pope, sticking with the BYU theme. I love Coach Pope. I love his energy. BYU Hoops is off to a good start. And in episode 26, Coach Pope and I spoke about earning your tears. There is hardly anyone that I know in any field that works harder than Coach Pope. And I felt like that in that episode had so much, I felt like the podcast studio was going to erupt in flames. I think we stood up and gave each other a chest bump in the middle of it, or at least definitely a couple fist bumps. Check out that if you're looking for some good energy. Brandon Fugel, one of the most fascinating people on the planet. Episode 27, we spoke about commercial real estate, the future of work post-COVID, and of course, about the Skinwalker Ranch and his series there. And by the way, Steve Starks was episode 22. We spoke to Stephanie Larson of Encircle, who is doing a great work. She is the founder of Encircle. We spoke about grace, kindness, and the future of the LGBTQ plus community. That was a touching episode to hear more of what has inspired her to start Encircle, what's pushing her forward. That's not an easy job, but my heart goes out to her, and I appreciate her coming on the podcast. We spoke to Greg McKeown, a non-Utahn, which is great. Lives in California. He's a great author. Many of you will know him from Essentialism and his new book called Effortless. We spoke about how to focus on what is most essential. We spoke about burnout and making important things effortless. I would encourage you to tune in to episode 30 if that sounds interesting to you. We spoke to Jason Chaffetz in episode 32. So many good guests looking back this year. I hope that this season has enriched you. I hope that it's been a blessing to you. This is a labor of love and charity. Anyone who's done a podcast knows that it is a lot more work and takes a lot more time than you would think, especially to try to do it well, like we try to do with a little bit of video, a lot of good audio, arranging guests, oh man, it's a lot of work. I'll tell you what keeps me going. It's notes that I get from people who have listened and have been affected by the podcast, who have learned something meaningful, who say, keep going, it's making a difference. That is why I'm doing the podcast. My favorite guest, bar none, in this season, of course, was my wife, Sally. She is magnificent. She makes everything and all of this possible. She spoke about the power of positivity. If you want to know who Sally is, check out that episode, The Power of Positivity and a Pure Heart. Sally is so much of the inspiration to what we do here, to my entire life, and certainly to the Extraordinary Us podcast. She is extraordinary in every way. If you haven't yet, check out our podcast, Under Our Bed. For no other reason, to get to know Sally better. It will be well worth your time. I promise you that. That was episode 37. Here's a note. Here's the last note I got like a day or two ago. These are the kind of texts that keep me going. I hope it's okay to read this, but here's what it says. So I was eating this popsicle today while listening to your podcast. When I finished, the popsicle stick had a message on it that said, say thank you to a role model. I've been listening to your podcast this past year, so it only seemed fitting to send you a big thank you. I'm enjoying it so much. It's opening up my vision on things, and the constant reminder to have compassion is much needed. Thanks so much, Jeff. That's what keeps us going, people. Ratings and reviews, notes, doing kind things. Let me tell you about what's coming up. I am so excited for the start of 2022, just in general. But I am so excited for the Extraordinary Us podcast in 2022. I have been thinking a lot about the future lately. I have not told people, there was like 10 people maybe on the earth that knew this until a couple weeks ago. But I have been working, we've been podcasting, I've been writing a book, we've been doing a lot of investments, as you guys all know, all the stuff that we do, continuing to help manage Peak Capital Partners, etc. But really, I've been spending an inordinate amount of time and a lot of time thinking about the future. And I'm launching a new startup in the music NFT space, so non-fungible tokens for music. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, in the mid-90s. Every weekend of my freshman year at Western Washington University, almost every weekend, I was at a grunge concert. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Weapon of Choice, Soundgarden, etc., etc. I love music. I love sports. I also love music so much. So we're launching Hit Piece. It's if you love music, check it out. We have a little beta launch going. When it launched just a couple days ago, I stayed on the site for like 3 hours because I'm a music junkie. I love music. It is so fun. We're creating one-of-one NFTs, non-fungible tokens, of your favorite songs at hitpiece.com. So anyway, this isn't meant to be an ad, but if you love music, go check out HitPiece. You'll love it. My point is, though, that is what's really gotten me thinking about the future the last 15 to 18 months. We've been building the technology for that for over a year. And here's what's going to happen on Extraordinary Us starting in 2022. We are going to start with the future. We're going to talk about the future. So I'm going to have 3, 4, 5 episodes in a row about the future world we are heading into. We're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about Web3. I hope you've heard that term, but if you haven't, it's important for you to understand what Web3 is and what, potentially is and what's coming. We're going to talk about the metaverse. Yes, that is a real thing. Yes, that is something that you should pay attention to. You probably started to when Facebook changed its name to Meta a month or so ago. But the metaverse is coming. It will affect all of our lives in hopefully positive ways, but obviously could be negative ways. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about DeFi or decentralized finance. We're going to talk about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which is digital, unique digital assets or art. So I've invited on technologists, futurists, the smartest people in cryptocurrency and the blockchain, et cetera, in the state on my podcast to talk about the future. It's going to be exciting start. It's going to be an exciting start to 2022, and it won't all just be that. We're going to preview the upcoming legislative session in the state of Utah. This is a critical session. Obviously, we're all feeling inflation. We have money in the state that we've never had before. We're going to talk to a state senator about the legislative session coming up. And also have some other friends. We might talk about the future of the Olympics and if they are coming back to Utah or when that is going to happen. Let me just recap and say, guys, it's been a great year, 2021. Thank you for your support. I only do this, try to do this for you. Hope that this is helpful and good learning for you. If it is, please drop me a note. I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And please look forward to future podcasts in 2022 where we're talking about what the future might look like. Again, it's an exciting time to be alive. There can be a lot of challenges with what's coming ahead, but we've got to go forward in faith. I mean, one of the tenets of the podcast is to not look back in fear, to not over concern ourselves with an unknown future, but to take steps forward in faith. Let's do that together in 2022. And let's all commit to understanding technology, understanding what's coming more, what's changing in our world so that we can understand our children and grandchildren better and be a force for good. Make sure that we mold our future into something that we're excited about and like. This is Jeff Birmingham from the Extraordinary Us podcast signing off for 2021. Have a Merry Christmas and look forward to seeing you early in January 2022.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Us Podcast with Jeff Birmingham. Please help us grow by leaving a rating and review and subscribing at your favorite podcast platform. Also tell your friends and share on social media. See you again next week.
Hey guys, it's Jeff. Thank you so much for your love and listening to the Extraordinary Us podcast. We just got news that we are in the top 2% of podcasts listened to worldwide. So please share with a friend. Word of mouth is the best way for podcasts to grow. And with that, there's another podcast that we've been working on.
There is.
And it's called
Under Our Bed.
I bet you've searched for it maybe and haven't been able to find it.
It's true.
Isn't that how life is sometimes? You just can't find what you're
Constantly
searching for.
searching.
Constantly searching.
Well, now you can.
Now we've been found. Under Our Bed is finally out. It's really there, people. So type it in right now. Search it up.
You're going to love it.
Look for it live, subscribe, and tell your friends. Can't wait to have you there with Jeff and
Sal.
providing the comedy relief. Good night, Sal.
Good night, Jeff.